Let me ask you something real. What if I told you a single decision made this week by IBM and the Bank of England could quietly reshape your financial future without you even noticing? Because while everyone's chasing meme coins and headlines, Hedera just got pulled into the center of the new global money grid. I'm talking about real banks, real governments, real institutions finally moving onto blockchain. This isn't hype. This is your chance to stand on the side of the next trillion-dollar wealth shift before it becomes common knowledge. If you're interested in this topic, hit the like button, subscribe, and type "interested" in the comments, and I will give you a heart. I remember the first time I heard about enterprise blockchains. I rolled my eyes. It sounded like another buzzword, the kind meant to make Wall Street feel safe while the rest of us got left behind. But what I didn't realize then was that one of those boring networks would become the quiet engine of the next financial revolution, and that network is Hedera. Let's start with what's actually happening, not hype, not speculation, but verifiable moves from real institutions. IBM just announced a new digital asset haven platform, built specifically for banks and governments to handle tokenized assets and programmable money. Guess what chain it's integrated with? Hedera. That's not small news, that's global infrastructure news. Because when IBM moves, entire financial systems follow. And this time, they didn't choose Ethereum or Solana. They chose Hedera. Now, ask yourself this. Why would a tech giant that literally powers the world's banking mainframes from JP Morgan to the Bank of England pick Hedera over thousands of other networks? The answer lies in trust and structure. Hedera isn't run by anonymous developers chasing hype. It's governed by a council that includes Google, Boeing, LG, Standard Bank, and now IBM's expanded participation. That governance gives traditional institutions something they've always craved in crypto: predictability. And with predictability comes investment. But here's where things get even more interesting. Just as IBM made that announcement, Canary Capital filed the Form 8A for a Hedera ETF. If you're not familiar with that, it's the regulatory step before a token starts trading on US stock exchanges. Translation? Retail investors, pension funds, and hedge funds could soon gain exposure to HBAR without ever touching crypto exchanges. That's what happened to Bitcoin and Ethereum before their explosive runs, and now it's Hedera's turn. You might be wondering, okay, cool news, but what's in it for me? How does this affect my life? The answer is simple: positioning. For years, average investors only heard about opportunities after they'd peaked. Bitcoin? Too late. Ethereum? Missed it. But right now, for the first time, a government-friendly, enterprise-backed network is opening its doors times before times the mass liquidity arrives. That means, intellectually, you're witnessing history in motion. Financially, you're standing at the doorstep of the next great migration of wealth. And there's another layer. The Bank of England just confirmed Hedera's participation in its new Digital Settlement Innovation Hub with the BIS, that's the Bank for International Settlements, the central bank of central banks. This project explores how real money, not stable coins, not tokens, could move across programmable ledgers in real time. Imagine the pound sterling or the euro being settled in seconds through Hedera. That's not DeFi, that's the future of global finance. So here's the suggestion I'll plant in your mind. If governments are preparing to build on Hedera, if IBM is aligning their infrastructure around it, and if ETFs are being structured to invite the world's money in, what does that mean for you if you start paying attention now? Because when history rewrites itself, it never asks who believed first. It only rewards those who positioned first. You know what most people don't realize? The real money never announces itself. When institutions move, they do it quietly, carefully, and strategically long before the headlines catch up. And right now, that quiet movement is happening on Hedera. See, everyone's been waiting for the next Bitcoin. But that's not how this wave works. This isn't about a single coin shooting up overnight. This is about an entire financial architecture being rebuilt, one that bridges traditional banking with blockchain technology. And the blueprint is being drawn right now by players like IBM, the Bank of England, and the BIS, with Hedera at the table. Let's talk about what this means for you, the ordinary investor who's tired of being late to every opportunity. When IBM's digital asset haven platform went public, it wasn't just a press release, it was a signal. They're creating an environment where banks, governments, and enterprises can finally step into digital finance safely. And when that door opens, where do you think the trillions in dormant institutional capital will flow first? Into speculative projects with no structure, or into a regulated, council-governed network like Hedera, with real corporate names and real stability behind it? This is what most people miss. Wealth doesn't chase chaos, it chases certainty. And Hedera offers that in ways no other blockchain does. It's fast, carbon negative, and legally structured for the compliance world, the same world that powers your credit cards, mortgages, and pensions. So, when you invest your time in understanding it, you're not just making a financial move. You're preparing for a future where digital assets aren't the alternative, they're the standard. And here's the kicker, the moral shift. This isn't just about money, it's about balance. For decades, financial systems have excluded regular people too slow, too expensive, too centralized. But Hedera flips that script. It gives small creators, entrepreneurs, and even entire developing economies access to tools once reserved for billion-dollar institutions. That's what innovation should look like. Not greed, but empowerment. But let me plant a seed in your mind, a suggestion. Imagine 5 years from now, you're watching the evening news, and the anchor says, the Bank of England's new real-time settlement system, powered by Hedera, just processed $4 trillion in cross-border payments this week. Now imagine you were one of the early believers who didn't scroll past this information. How different could your financial story look? Because that's what we're really talking about. Timing meets awareness. Not gambling, not hype, awareness. Every great financial revolution rewards those who see time's clarity, times when others see noise. You don't have to buy into a dream. You just have to understand where the world is already going. And look, this isn't just about price action or short-term profit. It's about being on the side of progress that actually improves lives. It's about realizing that blockchain isn't just about getting rich, it's about rebuilding trust in a world where trust has been destroyed. Hedera's transparency, its fairness, its auditable governance, these are the moral compasses guiding finance back to integrity. So while others chase temporary highs, the real investors are studying how utility chains like Hedera quietly become the new backbone of the digital economy. The question is, will you still be watching from the sidelines when it happens? You know what's funny? People think opportunity knocks loudly, that it shows up with fireworks and headlines. But the truth? It whispers. It hides behind small announcements, quiet collaborations, and subtle market movements. That's how the future sneaks up on you. And right now, Hedera is whispering louder than ever. Let's take a step back. IBM, the Bank of England, and the BIS aren't just experimenting for fun. They're laying the rails for the next era of financial infrastructure, programmable, instantaneous, transparent. Hedera isn't trying to replace the system, it's becoming the system. And when that happens, everything connected to it, from DeFi platforms to real-world tokenized assets, starts to gain gravity. Now, here's the personal part. Yes, you are standing in the middle of what every generation before us wished for. Early access to a paradigm shift. The kind that changes not only wealth, but times who controls it, asterisk. Think about it. For decades, money moved through a gatekeeper network. Banks, clearinghouses, centralized systems, each took a cut, each held power. Hedera breaks that monopoly by making transactions verifiable, instant, and fair, all while being green, secure, and enterprise-grade. But this isn't just about profit, it's about participation. It's about being one of the few who didn't laugh when innovation looked small. Remember how people laughed at the internet in 1995? Emails replacing letters? Who'd use that? Then came Amazon. Then came Google. Then came trillion-dollar empires born from the early believers. The same narrative is unfolding here. The names are just different. IBM, Boeing, LG, Dell, Ubisoft, and now the Bank of England, all tied to Hedera's governance model. Here's something I want you to feel. Not just understand. Every transaction Hedera secures, every government that integrates it, every ETF that launches on its name, it's not just validation of the network, it's validation of your intuition. The fact that you're even watching this means your instincts are sharper than most. You sense that something is happening beneath the surface. And you're right. The next few years will define two kinds of people. Those who prepared for the digital economy's backbone and those who said maybe later, until later became too late. The power of suggestion is already working in your subconscious because now you'll start noticing the signs everywhere. The headlines, the corporate partnerships, the market shifts. That's your cue. That's Hedera's signal echoing through your awareness. And let's not ignore the human element. Hedera's expansion isn't just tech evolution, it's moral evolution. It's about inclusion. It's about a transparent financial system that doesn't punish the small player. It's about giving creators, freelancers, and entire developing nations access to digital ownership that can't be erased or manipulated. That's bigger than crypto. That's justice through technology. So, here's where it gets exciting. If the ETF approval opens institutional floodgates and the Bank of England moves forward with distributed settlement systems, imagine what happens when retail adoption catches up. The same wave that lifted Bitcoin from $100 to $69,000 could lift Hedera from cents to something far more meaningful, not just in value, but in impact. And maybe, just maybe, years from now, you'll look back on this exact moment, this quiet moment, and realize it wasn't a prediction, it was an invitation. Because the world is shifting, and for those who understand Hedera's role in that shift, it's not just about making money, it's about being time's part of history.